Today, Tuesday, July 19, 2020, I call this a regular meeting to order at 6:35. Pledge allegiance by Councilmember Wu.
Please place your hands on your heart and repeat after me. I pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Ding.
Here.
Vice Mayor Harrington.
Here.
Councilmember Menchaca.
Here.
Councilmember Rivera.
Here.
Councilmember Wu.
Here.
Closed session report. Our city attorney will now give the closed section report from the special meeting held early tonight.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor and ladies and gentlemen of the council, the board met in closed session to discuss conference. The item identified as conference with labor negotiator with the negotiators Lazaretto and Filarski for the employee organizations identified on the agenda. No reportable action took place. Mr. Mayor, that concludes the report.
Thank you. We will now have some announcement from our chief city clerk.
Tonight's meeting is live streamed on Cable Channel 3 and our online platforms. If you wish to address the City Council during tonight's meeting, we request that you please complete a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk. When speaking, please state your name for the record. If you wish to be added to the distribution list to receive City Council agendas, please email your request to cityclerk@sgch.org.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda order. Are there any objection to the agenda order? I hear none. Its agenda order is approved. Next item, please.
Presentation, Proclamation for Parks Make Life Better Month. Community Services Director Perez will make introductory remarks and Mayor Ding will make the presentation.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Ding and members of the City Council. We appreciate you supporting our mission by proclaiming July 2022 as Parks Make Life Better Month. And while you didn't get to see it because you were in your closed session, there was a cool slideshow that we had. Thank you to the City Clerk staff for showing that, showing some of our events that we've had throughout July and programming that we've had, which just shows that parks indeed do make life better. The Community Services Department strives to make San Gabriel a great place to live, work, and play by providing quality programs, services, special events, and parks and facilities. In addition, we work closely with our public works staff who operate and maintain San Gabriel's parks and facilities so our residents have clean and safe places to play. These efforts would not be possible without the support of a team which includes the City Council, staff, volunteers, and the residents whom we serve. We invite the community to join us for our recreation classes and programs and connect with us for our events taking place still this summer, including recreational swim, senior programs, art in the park, our concert this Thursday outdoors at the Mission Playhouse Plaza, and our concert and movie next Thursday, July 28th at Marshall Park. Thank you again for supporting community services.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks the community service department and community service commissioner help our city, especially like for the park make life better the month. But I saw that we have the even next month have the night out, and the previous we have the summer surfer. It's start have the like every Thursday have the some concert. And it's really help people. I have the proclamation. It's for July 2022 is a Park Make Life Better Month, and you know Rebecca say it's park life. It's really have a lot of advantage for the community get together. So the California Park. It's a recreation Society has released a statewide public awareness campaign, Parks Make Life Better, to inform citizens of the many benefits of utilize the park facility program and service now. Therefore, be it resolved, the citizens of the California recognition the important access local park trials, open space, and the facility for the health, wellness, development, inspiration, and safety for all Californians. And this further resolved that we declare the month of July 2022 as Parks Make Life Better month. The city, the San Gabriel City Whole Council hereby the Proclamation July 2022. Okay, okay. I just invite all the council coming on the stage and Rebecca too. Okay.
Maybe Greg wants to join us too. Greg's going to join us since Public Works maintains our parks.
Yeah, actually, it's really exciting, the park the life. Okay, I hope the whole community can continue to join like next Thursday, the event too. And the next item, please.
Public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the City Council on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the San Gabriel City Council. If you wish to address the council, please fill out a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk. Our first speaker this evening is Valerie Munoz.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Valerie Munoz. I'm Mayor Pro Tem for the City of La Puente, but I'm your representative on the San Gabriel Basin Water Quality Authority, representing cities with non-pumping rights. Today, well, first of all, it's great to be in person. I know with COVID and pandemic, it's been a few years since I've personally been here, but I just wanted to invite all of the council members here for a tour of our cleanup facilities in the San Gabriel Water Quality Authority. A lot of us aren't aware that in the WQA, our whole goal is to secure funding from the federal as well as responsible parties to clean up the contamination in our local aquifers. We are one of the largest Superfund sites in the nation, and up to date, we have secured over $500 million for cleanup efforts in the basin. Our basin serves approximately 1.4 million people in the San Gabriel Valley. And so I left with your city clerk the invitations and direct contact information with my personal phone number and email address. This is a 90-minute quick overview. It kind of gives you a quick review of what we do, and it's at your convenience. So just give me a call. I will definitely reach out again, and we will accommodate you as much as possible. Water is a huge issue in our community, especially with our droughts, and so just really nice to provide general information you can share with your constituents of what we do at the agency to secure funding to keep ratepayers' fees down in regards to the cleanup efforts in the basin. Thank you again, and have a great evening.
Thank you, Barry.
Our next speaker is Grace Yang.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, and the member of council. My name is Grace Yang. I'm the new library manager at the San Gabriel Library. I have a few library updates. In the summer, the library is offering lunch at the library, summer reading programs, story times, and art activity kits for children, teens, and adults in the community. In the month of June, we had 1,034 meals were distributed to the families in the community. And the library is working hard to provide our diverse community with easy access to knowledge, information, and computer, internet access, everything. I'm so excited to be able to work in the San Gabriel community, and I look forward to serving the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no additional cards. Is there anyone else that would like to address council?
Next item, please.
Consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine, and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a member of the City Council or public requests separate discussion. We have not received requests from the public to pull any items.
Okay. Would any council member like to pull any item from separate discussion? I hear no. Do I have the motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it's a motion made by the council member Menchaca and second by Vice Mayor Harrington. Please vote.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Don't scare me. All right, next item, please.
We have no public hearing or continued business this evening. Our next item is new business item A, consideration of adoption of Police Department Lexipol Policy, Section 707, military equipment, pursuant to Assembly Bill 481, military equipment acquisition, use, and reporting. Police Chief Harris will make the presentation.
Thanks, brother. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, good evening. My name is Eugene Harris, Police Chief for the City of San Gabriel, and tonight we'll be discussing the adoption of a policy pursuant to AB 481 regarding the use, acquisition, and funding of military equipment or military-style equipment. Tonight, the agenda will be as follows. I'll tell you a little bit about AB 481. We're going to need to go into a little bit of detail for members of the community, and some of this education and awareness is mandated by the Assembly Bill. We'll talk a little bit about why the equipment is needed, make sure we're explaining some, certainly with clarity for the community, why this equipment is used, how it's used, and kind of dispel some of the notion of, you know, we're not having tanks rolling down the middle of our streets in the middle of the night. We'll discuss how the equipment is funded, how it's acquired, and how it's used. We'll demonstrate for you and the members of the community what our current inventory is that meets these requirements. We'll talk a little bit about the community engagements and the activities that we've already undertaken and plan to undertake in the future as a result of requirements of AB 481. And then we'll entertain comments, concerns, and questions at the end of the presentation for the staff report. This is a presentation that coincides with the staff report that you should have before you. The reason we have both the presentation and the staff report is that there are requirements for community engagement and certainly engaging folks in answering questions, and we thought it might provide a lot more clarity if we had a presentation that allowed for lots of questions and lots of engagement per the section, and then go over the details of the staff report. So about 481, if you recall, we had several police-related incidents, some that were very high profile. We had one that actually required us to go on tactical alert back not too long ago when we were locked down, and during all of the other events that we were going on. It was a pretty contentious, what am I looking for? That's the one. Time. And around September 30th of 2021, Governor Newsom and the legislature from the state of California recognized that we needed to do some things, and one of the things they did was, in the midst of signing several other bills, they adopted 481, put that out, and it really just is an opportunity to make sure that the public knows what we're doing with military or military-style equipment. There were a lot of folks following the George Floyd incident as you may recall, that brought this to light. Wanted to make sure that law enforcement was not coming down as invading armies and communities. And so this bill was crafted and very well crafted in the context of making sure that we maintain accountability for all the things that we do, but still allow our law enforcement to have the tools that are needed to solve problems within the community. Part of AB 481 was to make sure that we, for the members of the public, increase transparency, accountability, oversight, and acquisition of this equipment. There are a lot of rumors, as you might imagine, whenever you mention the word military. It instills fear in some folks with some of the geopolitical things that are going on around the world. It's really a term I wish we could call it something else, rephrase it, but it really is military and military-style equipment. But as you'll see during the midst of the presentation, it's necessary equipment to get some of these jobs done. Also required by the section is to provide safeguards to protect the public's welfare, safety, civil rights, and liberties. And what it's kind of misleading. It kind of almost demonstrates that maybe the law enforcement community is out here violating safeguards and public welfare and safety and civil liberties. So it's a little bit misleading. And what it really does is it allows for us to make sure that we are working together with elected officials and members of the community to provide a safe, productive environment overall when we have law enforcement and community interactions. And so it kind of makes it look like in the past we've kind of used these things. I don't think any recent incidents have occurred where we've had misuse or any publicized misuse, but it's important to put this into perspective. It also requires an annual report to summarize the equipment usage and updates, document internal audits, and summarize community feedback. Very important piece of this, because if you're going to have true accountability, we definitely have to have the folks in the community be notified and certainly be engaged in the process of figuring out how we're going to police our community. We had to create a public forum for input and engagement, and this one is a good one because I think the council in its wisdom got way ahead of this piece of it even before this was even considered by putting things together such as the HEAR Commission, where we have a place for people to engage in the things that are going on in this community, and certainly provide the leadership and guidance as we kind of develop policies and do the things that come through the work plans that they're engaged in. So this was fortuitous. There are also some approval requirements that are required by the section, and the approval requirements relate to you folks. And those consist of your approval and an annual reporting of any requested purchases or acquisitions. It requires the council approval for continued use of items that have already been purchased, acquired, or in use prior to the meeting. It also requires an annual report. Our first report will be given out right around July 1st, 2023, and we will certainly include that as part of the HEAR Commission's work plan. We want to make sure that that's an environment where it seems to be a kind of a fit for us to put those things together and bring that out to the community. And the annual report must include the use maintenance costs, internal audits, and community feedback, all of the things that we're going to discuss a little bit here. You'll notice that I'm reading quite a bit. That's not the norm, but for public consumption, it's important that we get the details correct on this. Why military-style equipment is needed. So for the public and for you folks, let's make sure we make the distinction between military equipment and military-style equipment. The way that we read that is military equipment is equipment that we get from the military, designed for military purposes, and we task it to do what we need it to do. Military-style equipment is maybe equipment that is of military origin and design, but has been retooled to fit the civil law enforcement mission. And so we make a distinction between the two. And I'll read this paragraph for you and then go into a little bit of detail. Contemporary policing and community protection requires public safety personnel be prepared to confront numerous threats at the local, regional, national, and global levels. Those threats include street violence and crime, global and domestic terrorism, and other mass casualty events. The availability and access to tools designed to give first responders an advantage in such events is crucial to the community protection and rescue missions. It's exceedingly important if you're paying attention to any of the things that are going on around the world and certainly in our country. We've had an uptick in violence and certainly the mass casualty events, mass shootings at schools, malls, etc. And so it's important to keep this in perspective when we see that the sign of the times is requiring a different philosophy and a different approach maybe to the way that we conduct our police work in response to these matters. What it boils down to is the need for superior field and technical equipment, and it provides the best opportunity to ensure first responders can quell any threat born from intentional hostile acts, as well as others such as catastrophic weather events, accidents, etc. So we also want to make sure that it's clear to the community that this equipment can be used in a multitude of incidents, up to and including natural disasters and places where we need to employ things such as drones and other types of tools. It's not just for violent events and encounters or police or law enforcement related encounters, but certainly for citywide need such as public works, fire department, et cetera, when we have a catastrophic weather event or something related to that. How can this equipment be funded? We here in San Gabriel have used the first 4 on this list. We've funded some of our current military style equipment through the general fund. We've funded some of it from capital improvement. We've funded some of it through asset forfeiture and local, state, and federal grants. The 2 that we haven't employed yet is reallocation of city resources. That is an opportunity when we see those happen. So if you have maybe a tool or a piece of equipment that Public Works is using that can now be retasked for a law enforcement purpose, that would be one of the ways to get that done. The other is through the DRMO program or program 1208 or 1003 or 1033, which allows us to get military equipment through surplus through the military and other means, but it is actually military equipment that would then be retasked to be used. We do not have any of that current equipment in our inventory. All right, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on for this one. My other glasses. All right, so what you have here is our current San Gabriel AB41 inventory. And I'll break down what this list is demonstrating. So if you look in the green tabs, those are the categories. Those are the categories that 481 lists as categories that we must take into account when we apply this section. There's 14 categories, and I'll go through them very, very quickly. Category 1 is drones and like equipment. Category 2 is APCs, which is personnel carriers, like Bearcats and different types of equipment that can protect you from blasts or can protect you from any type of projectile. Cat 3 is military rams, those types of equipment that are designed to break through doors or enter into structures. Cat 4 is tracked and AV, those different types of vehicles that we can be tasked to do something other than carrying personnel. So if you remember back in the days when LAPD had their Bataram and some of those kind of vehicles, that's what this section is talking about. Cat 5 is mobile command vehicles. Part of the reason why most agencies had to kind of hold off on getting this done was that mobile command section was in contention at the legislative level because most people, the way it was written, thought that that meant any command post vehicle that you have. So our Suburban, that's a command post vehicle with a map and radios, would qualify under this, and we had to get some clarification. That does not qualify. We finally got the word down that that is not an issue. They're talking about mobile command vehicles such as motorhomes, those large vehicles that you see come out at bomb threats and things like that. That's the category 5, what it covers. Category 6 is talking about weaponized aircraft. Unfortunately, we don't, did I say unfortunately? I'm just kidding. There are some agencies who have that. We do not, but that would be all right if we used it properly. But we do not have any weaponized aircraft. Cat 7 is explosive breaching equipment. That would be something that would be used if we had a SWAT team or some type of tactical element. I'm hoping in the future that we do have some of that capability for some of the challenges we're going to face. But as it's currently constructed, we don't have that, and therefore no explosive breaching equipment. Category 8, 50 caliber firearms. 50 caliber was the caliber of firearm where the legislature thought that is too large a firearm to just be able to use without some type of tracking or some type of taking a look at how these things are going to be placed within our arsenal. So the 50 caliber firearms are really, really dangerous. They're more military style. You'll see that a lot of snipers use these in the military, the Marine Corps, and special operations. And so if we're not going to use 50 caliber firearms, we're certainly not going to have any 50 caliber ammo. So those two kind of go hand in hand. Let me skip to category 11, which is, I'm not sure what that EXP is. I'll have to look into that one. But I believe it's explosive ammunition. And that certainly would not be something that we want to use where we're putting ammunition that goes down range and creates an explosion on the downwind side of things. That would be an absolute terror. And so we don't use those kind of things. But those things are out there. Category 12. Tear gas and OC munitions. Those are the gas munitions that we have. I'll go back to what we have in just a second. Acoustic weapons. There are some that are right now in use that use sound waves and different types of non-munition type of techniques to quell problems and solve any type of violent incident. And then we have, and I'll go through the kinetic energy. So those three, special firearms, tear gas, and kinetic energy, Category 14, Category 12, and Category 10, are items that we currently have in our arsenal. We've had them for quite some time, and they're pretty standard in the law enforcement community. We'll start with Category 10. We have in our arsenal less lethal shotguns that are in our cars, less lethal rounds that go with those shotguns, riot and gas guns, and the AR-15 or M4 patrol rifles. These are rifles that we purchased through some grants and some asset forfeiture. We did not use the military DRMO, which gives us surplus rifles and allows us to have those. We did not do that, although that is available to us. If you move to Category 12, we have several different types of tear gas and OC munitions. OC is oleoresin capsicum, and it's more generally described as pepper spray. We have pepper ball launcher, pepper ball munitions, CS and the tear gas grenades. They're actually grenades that you pull the pin, you throw it in a room, and gas comes all over the place and tells people to give up because it's uncomfortable. We have 37 millimeter rounds, OC rounds, which 37 millimeter is a large caliber, about the size of a racquetball. And when you fire it into a place, it sends the pepper spray or whatever we have in there into the room and helps us quell problems. We have flashbangs or light sound diversionary devices, which is simply another simple name for a grenade that makes noise. You pull the pin, you throw it in the room, and it does a loud bang, and it distracts the person that we're going to take into custody and gives us the advantage. Under Category 14, the kinetic energy weapons, we have a 37 millimeter launcher, 37 millimeter rubber rounds, and what the kinetic energy piece for the public is stuff that we use to impact folks, not ballistic rounds such as bullets and those kind of things, but heavier cork rounds or rubber rounds that are designed to hit people and be uncomfortable, but not penetrate the skin. So we have those 37 millimeter rubber rounds, 37 millimeter Stinger rounds, which are like rubber bullets coming out of a shotgun. They're a little bit bigger, and it's several of them going down range at once. They're very uncomfortable, but in a riot situation, very effective. We also have 37 millimeter foam rounds. They're a little bit softer. They give us the opportunity to use a softer round when doing these things, and we have to, based on the circumstance, decide which is which, and we have people that are trained, specially trained to employ this tool. And we also have 37 millimeter OC rounds, which is just another gas round. If you look at the bottom where it says drone funding is already been facilitated via State Homeland Security grant program funding, and you'll see up at the top in Category 1 and Category 2, that red means those are things that we're probably going to be coming back to you in the near future to try and acquire. The personnel carriers or the rescue vehicles, which is what we are going to be coming back to ask you for at some point, gives us the opportunity, if we have active shooters, to go in now and not have a situation like we had in Uvalde, where we can go in and rescue folks, any downed personnel, put them in this vehicle and move them out. Our prerequisite will be that it not look like a tank, that it be more of a rescue vehicle, maybe even in fact colored. But we will, and by colored I mean a specific color that does not make it look tactical. And so we will be coming back to you at some point with that. But the drones, you'll see it has an asterisk on it. The drone, we've already facilitated that funding. It comes to light from the state, from SHISHGAP or the State Homeland Security within the next year or so. And when that funding is made available, then we will be coming back before you as council to get the purchase of those drones approved via 481. So we wanted to make sure that you and the public knew that that would be coming down the road here pretty quickly. Let's move to the community engagement activities. There were numerous things that had to be done with regard to 481, and part of it was initially putting out a public website notice within 30 days of making this request for approval of the policy. We did that via our social media and other media outlets, and I think our PIO person back there, she's really getting things done, and so we really appreciate her getting this information out. We certainly have the San Gabriel Water District and Southern California Gas Company. We've done presentations at both of those places where we did active shooter scenarios for all of their employees at these locations to make sure that they were getting the word, and as part of that engagement, we explained to them everything that I'm explaining to you tonight. We also cooperated with the Archdiocese to worry about our active shooter scenarios in our churches, in and around places of worship, and we plan on hitting all of the others as well, including the mosque and all of the other religious institutions within the city. We've done exactly the same with San Gabriel Unified School District and at several of the schools, and had active shooter presentations to make sure that we are working with the schools and that the parents understand what it is we're doing and what the response capabilities will be if we have an incident at a school. We've also made 3 community academy presentations to put this information out over the last year, or the last couple of years. And we've done it also at the San Gabriel Valley Medical Center and had an active shooter scenario training that was there. It was outstanding, and it really kind of put into perspective what we need to do with our threat assessment and figuring out where the threats are within our city. We had presentations at the Harold Christian Center and at Ivy Creek Convalescent Home. Some of the future things that we plan on doing is continuing the active shooter presentations. That will not stop. As techniques and tactics change, we're going to have to recycle our presentations and go back and hit the places that we've already hit, and certainly go out and talk to some of the new folks that are out there. National Night Out displays, that will always be a part of our game. That's coming up the first Tuesday in August. National Night Out, we will have displays out there of some of this equipment so the public can see what it is that we have, walk up and have it explained to them by the officers that'll be at that display. So you're also going to have neighborhood watch meetings. We've discussed these elements at those. Certainly at 411 with the chief. I talk about that on a regular basis, at least to the extent that we get many questions about how we handle certain situations, and so it always morphs into conversation about the tools and the tactics. PD open house displays. We will be having a PD open house later this year, and we'll put the displays out for everyone who attends to see. And we currently have an appointment to set up a shooter presentation for the Garvey School District at Dewey School, which is the only school from Garvey that's in our jurisdiction. But we normally go through and we have these presentations and walkthroughs. You and I had a conversation, Councilmember Menchaca, about what are we doing at Dewey School. And one of the things that we do is we walk through on a regular basis for the public. All of our officers are school resource officers, including me, and I am assigned to Dewey School, along with 5 or 6 other of our officers, and we are going through there on a regular basis with our school and community engagement team talking about these very elements. So we're going to continue in that endeavor. The council's role. What we look at here is council may prohibit the use of any AB 481 designated equipment, either in whole or in part, in which case the department would cease the use of said equipment. In addition, the department will then be required to redesign policies, procedures, and operations related to critical incident response. This includes mutual aid policies for assisting agencies utilizing any of that type of equipment, et cetera. But in compliance with Government Code Section 7071 and our policy, we will continue to have access. This is what we hope you approve, that we have the access to the resources currently listed in the inventory, and that you may authorize in open council session that we acquire and utilize other AB 481 equipment as may be appropriate or necessary. So as I said, we may be coming to you in the future with seeking some authorization, and that is what we hope we get done. With regard to the staff report, our recommendation originally, when we wrote the staff report, staff was recommending to the City Council to approve and adopt the San Gabriel Police Department Lexipol Manual Section 707, the military equipment and associated protocols pursuant to AB 481. My reading of it when we first put this together was that when the section called for doing this by ordinance, that it meant making this approval through the normal processes of approving policies. I think that we've had to take a look at it again, and we're going to get a legal opinion on whether by ordinance means we have to create an ordinance to adopt this policy, and I think you have more on that. Keith?
It does mean that. So tonight, what we could do is get direction to come back with that ordinance, and then we could have it at the next meeting.
In that regard, one thing that we did for today and having this presentation is making sure that the council and the public understands that we already have military equipment in use. And so we've already put into our policy the 707 to make sure that we have some underlying policy to protect us in the use of this equipment should we have to apply it in the field. So we will come back expeditiously to get that done by ordinance to get that and come back and deal with that works for you folks. And with that, we'll take any comments or questions from the council.
Thank you, Chief. So today we just received the report, right? And that we can do the discuss and give it to direction. No voting, too, right? Not, from my understanding.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So does any council member have the factual question for the staff to clarify the report?
Can you briefly tell us the training process for the officers to use this type of equipment, or is that something that's standard?
The rifle training is pretty standard. We get some of that in the academies, but for everything else that you see on that matrix that I gave you, there are special courses and certifications in order to deploy that. So all of our less lethal munitions, you have to have special training and be certified to employ them. We send all of our people to these classes because you never know who's going to be on duty when it happens. So we don't have any equipment in our arsenal that everybody, with the exception of entry equipment, that we kind of designate for special people. Everybody has the ability to employ the tools that we have on our sheet.
That was my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember
Thank
Wu.
you, Chief. Oh, thank you, Mayor Dean. So the AB 481 is the bill that if any city does not adopt that, that means the police station will not be able to use those weapons. Am I understand that correctly?
Yes.
I see. Because you said the department will cease the use of said equipment that without the AB 481.
Well, there's two parts to it. There's one part of AB 481 is adopting a policy that makes us have to come back to council for any future asks or purchases or acquisitions. And then there's the part of it that requires us to get approval for continuous use of the things that we're currently using. So if council deems fit to say we're not going to use that equipment anymore, then we will need to stop using that equipment.
And this is the bill that allowed the public to access the information about the inventories that we have in our police station, especially those military equipments. Is that right?
Yes, it requires us to make public what our inventory is and every year provide an annual report to how it's used, the cost, if we've used it over the course of that year, incidents that we've used, and then will be included in that annual report. Our first report will come out on or about July 1 of 2023.
So the report will be annual
Yes.
report.
Yes, sir.
And also you mentioned the dorm funding has already been facilitated via state Homeland Security. So
Yeah.
does our police officer need a license to operate the equipments like drones?
Yes, it would have to be trained personnel, and there are different types of drones. So there are tethered drones and there are free range drones. The free range drones are the kind you see flying around and the person has the control in front of them and it can fly within whatever the parameters of that drone are, and you have to have a trained person on it. The other type of drone is a tethered drone where you set a box down wherever you want to deploy your drone and it flies straight up and it's tethered to the power with a cord and it can't move. That one you do not need to have any type of certification to use, but the one that you're going to fly, you need to have a certification to use. The tethered drone is basically an airborne camera attached to a cord that you can raise up to 300, 400 feet, and then you can work the camera to see what you need to see, but you can't move it anywhere without packing it up and taking it manually to where you need to go.
So how many drones that we are expecting to use?
We'll be asking for two.
Two.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
great.
the question is going to be whether or not we want the free range drones or the tethered drones. That's going to be something that's left up to analysis. We're going to be taking a look at that. There are certainly more things that can go wrong with a drone that's flying around with somebody down on the ground. We certainly have more legal issues that we need to worry about where we put that drone and how close to people's homes and the right to privacy and all of those issues that come with that. The tethered drone gives us a little less range, but it gives us a lot less headaches. So we're going to do the analysis on that and see which one that we're going to come to council with, or maybe both, one tethered and one that somebody can fly. We'll see how that works out.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wu. Okay. So, Chief, Chief City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
I have not received any speaker cards. Is there anyone wishing to address council on this item?
No. So it's now time for the council deliberation and the discussion. Who would like to start? And the council member Menchaca.
Thank you. Chief, regarding the annual report, I guess going forward, before you publish the annual report, the plan is to have the HEAR Commission review it, or is this after the report's written? I was trying to understand the timing.
We want to complete the report and make it go through the HEAR Commission before it's published, so that the HEAR Commission can weigh in on what the report is, and if there's any issues that we need to redact, change, or if there's any questions, that would be a good vehicle to kind of manage that. And then once that's done together, we can make sure that that gets out to the public.
So that was my next question. So it would get out to public. We would have it on the website, maybe announce it on social media.
Yes.
So has this report been published by other cities, or is this the first year?
This is the first year. It came into effect 481 January 1st of this year, and we needed to get it done in an expeditious fashion. So the next one will be, we've planned out a year from now, probably going to be around that time frame that we listed in the staff report. So that'll be the first report for all the agencies that are responding to 481.
Okay, okay. I was just going to mention on the inventory, I'm not as familiar with, I mean, I know what a drone is because I've actually worked on with the drone with my daughter, but everything else is really foreign to me. I was just wondering in this report, do they have pictures so you know what you're talking about? Because this is a whole different language industry. I mean, it seems, I know it's military-like, but for sure sounds military. You know, some of the words that you use and the references. So I'm just wondering that when you have that inventory in the report, is it just listed like you did there? Or do you have photos, or how would the average person understand what this inventory is all about?
Well, the way the report is made up is left up to us, but I think that it would probably be prudent to include photos of whatever it is that we're using at the time the report is put out, and make sure that they understand it so that when they see it, they can make the correlation. So we can do that with ease. It probably should have been done in this report, so I apologize for that.
That's okay. I just wanted to let you know, for those of us who aren't familiar with it. And so you publish this report, and then what happens? I mean, do you have to have like a certain number of people who access it, or your job is just to publish it, and it's up to us to also promote it or publish it to the community, but you don't have to have any kind of, there's no metric involved in how you distribute it.
No, the council approves the report, but the whole point in getting it out to the public is so that they can be engaged and come in and ask questions in a forum such as a council meeting, 411 with the chief, or any of the other public engagement activities that we do. This puts this out there so that everybody knows it's there. It's really about awareness, and then anybody who has questions or concerns can come in and they can talk to us at any time, or they can talk to you folks, and then we can formalize it in the context of a council meeting.
Okay, okay, great. And then lastly, when you mentioned mass casualty events, were you referring to like earthquakes and fires, or are you referring to some other kind of casualty event? I was trying, because I was looking at all the different scenarios, and the last one was mass casualty events, and I just wasn't quite sure what that meant. Could you explain?
Mass casualty is an event that leads to mass casualties or a lot of death. Active shooter scenarios would fall into that category. Major natural disasters would fall in that category. We have a building collapse. It's a mass casualty event. We're going to have to employ certain tools to go and locate folks within, the rubble. Active shooters certainly is going to be all the kind of contemporary one that we're dealing with now.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. So this military lifestyle equipment, it's not just for protection, but it's also for rescue projects or rescue efforts.
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, most of it would probably be used for rescue efforts, but the type of rescue efforts could vary. It could be a fire operation where we have to employ some of these things. It could be a police operation, defense of the public kind of application. Or it could be a public work situation where we're trying to figure out how we're going to move this building and making sure that there's certain things that we have to look at first. So there's a whole lot of applications to the equipment, but the equipment is the equipment.
Okay. I just think that's helpful to know also. It's not just for protection.
Right.
There's multiple uses, and I think it's
Yes, ma'am.
helpful for the community to know that too.
Absolutely. And when they're used, whether it's in a law enforcement defense of public kind of situation or any of those other mass casualty events that we talked about, all of that has to be in the annual report. So there'll be file numbers, dates, times, outcomes, all of that will be listed so that you can see what the use is, what the outcomes were, and that way we can evaluate whether we want to continue using that equipment or whether we need to modify the way we use that equipment. It gives us a lot of tools. So.
Yeah, because the last event that comes to mind is when I was mayor, we had the fire at the San Gabriel Mission. So I consider that a casualty, a significant casualty in our community, but I'm not sure if any of this equipment had to be used for that situation.
Well, I can think of situations where that equipment could have been
Oh, really?
applicable.
Okay.
But I wasn't there for and I wasn't part of the command team that was dealing with that fire. So I'd be speaking out of school if I talked on that. But I've seen a lot of the equipment like drones where you send the drone up over the top.
You're right.
So you can
Yes.
look down inside and see if there's anything going on. That would certainly be an application for that. You
Good point.
never know. So
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Councilmember Menchaca. And it's Vice Mayor Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, I just want to clarify, so are we, you're asking us to approve the policy tonight, and then you'll come back with an ordinance, or are those going to be together?
Originally, we were looking to approve the policy tonight, but the section requires us, we had consultation with legal today, the section requires us to do it by ordinance, and so we're going to have to come back and actually do the approval by ordinance. But it's certainly important to make sure we're talking tonight and having the discussion, because we are abiding by at least this policy temporarily because we have equipment that we already use, and that is currently in our inventory. So we want to make sure that we're being open with the public, making sure we're speaking to the council, and expeditiously we'll get back and get that done by ordinance.
So what was the effective date of AB 481? Was it January 1st? Or?
I believe it was January 1st, but it gave us until May to get some of the things done, and then there was a leeway given because of the clarity that I talked about, needing to understand what exactly with command vehicles. There were other things that we needed to clarify as well. So the idea is to get it done as quickly as we can.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, like I asking this is the police reform bill that's just only for the police department, right? The bill is only for the police department, but because you also mentioned our public service and the fire department, maybe if they use the military kind of the equipments, also it's under this bill or not? Just only for the police department?
It's a law enforcement or policing look at this
Law
overarching
enforcement,
goal.
okay.
But I think it's prudent to say that any use of this equipment, they're not going to the law doesn't delineate the use. So otherwise, we would just call the fire department out at every time we're going to use something and say, hey, they're using it, and we're good.
Yeah.
Right? It's fire department equipment.
Okay.
It's not us.
Yeah, maybe like you mentioned, the public service needed to do that too. Okay.
You might need to use it. So I think it's prudent to assume that it requires all of the public safety folks to abide by 481.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the question is, because today you just bring up, that's good, and if for the question also for the city attorney. So right now, is the police department still, if we don't approve, it's based on this new bill, can you use this military equipment right now, or have to until we approve for the further approval?
Well, I think this is open for discussion with Keith and with Mark, but I think that at least for public consumption, there should be maybe if there's an opportunity to do a temporary approval by council to continue to use the equipment that we're using, pending the bringing back the ordinance in its totality. So I would hate to see us right now say, well, since we're going to wait until we come back before council, stop using all of that equipment because it's deeply ingrained in the operations and the things that we do. So maybe there is a workaround, a temporary workaround to make sure we can continue using what we have, but will not be asking or purchasing any future equipment until we've done the ordinance and gotten the approval of council.
Yeah, that's my concern. If just in case you need this kind of equipment for the public service, you know. Yeah.
I think that's a question for Keith.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that plan.
So we just today can do the temporary permission, or what are we to do?
if you give a temporary permission for the continued use of the equipment we currently use, and do nothing else, then we will not ask for any purchases or use of new equipment until we've done the due diligence with regard to the
So
ordinance.
you've reported that you currently have a policy that you're following internal to the department.
Yes, sir.
And so I guess what you would be asking is for that specific policy to be ratified by the city council tonight, pending, on an interim basis, pending the ordinance that would come back on the same basis at the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, that's our discussion right today. Okay, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Can I make a motion?
So I guess it would be a motion to ratify the existing policy of the police department as the policy of the city council regarding the use of this equipment. With
Current equipment.
Current equipment, with instruction to staff to bring back an ordinance along the same lines at the next meeting, for adoption at the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, I'll move.
I second. I want to move. Okay, so the motion made by the council member Menchenko, second by Mayor Ding. Oh, okay.
Motion passed by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you.
I need an announcement, right? I think I can vote, right? Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So it's already announced the motion, right? Clerk, okay. So, okay. All right. So, yeah. Thanks, Chief. And yeah. So it's really important for this bill, right? So we also think the whole council is approved. It's really, I think we think about the public safety too, right? Okay. Thank you, all my colleagues. Okay. Next item, please.
Logo and branding guide for RideSG Transit. Community Services Director Perez will make the presentation.
Good evening once again. Before you tonight, we have, you'll recall in the recent months, we've brought to you the item of the new transit system that we're going to have in San Gabriel, and you approved the name RideSG. And tonight we're bringing you some options for the logo that we would like you to, and I realize you're just seeing these now, so welcome. But we'd like you to vote on the options that we have provided for you tonight. So on June 7th, that's where the council discussed possible names, parameters, and a timeline for the updated transit program. The council decided on the name RideSG for the transit program. And in order to delineate the service for our dial-a-ride passengers, which is our paratransit, our seniors and disabled, staff is proposing to call the program RideSG Plus. The current logo is displayed up here, and you have copies in front of you, not of the current logo, but of the proposed logos. The current logo was developed in 2013, and this logo is located on our dial-a-ride vans. Other than that, it's not very widely used, but you'll see that it did help, kind of help us depict our new logo. So tonight, staff will provide the City Council with options for the RideSG and RideSG Plus logo and branding guide. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the selected logo and color palette for the new transit program. So we were very fortunate. We have an in-house staff person, Joe Farrell, who works at the Mission Playhouse, who actually designed this logo for us. And so we're very fortunate to have that staff in-house. Again, the logos are the same. The RideSG is slightly different, and really you're looking primarily at the color palette. So the first version of the proposed logo is shown here. This carries through a silhouette honoring the Mission and the Mission Playhouse, and depicting a road from the previous Dial-A-Ride logo. The color palette is light blue, aqua, red, and a darker red, which is in line with the city logo. In this version, the word ride is italicized, which helps depict movement. Also shown is a depiction of a screenshot that riders would see on their phone, which is kind of that teal image that you're seeing there. And finally, there's an image of what the proposed vehicle wrap would look like. As you will see, there's another option. And again, we provide the...
Rebecca, I'm sorry
Yep.
to cut you off. Before you go to the other option, would you
Yes.
mind telling council about the differences of colors when they show up on the screen versus in their packet, so if they know which of the colors is closer?
So in your packet, the printed version is a little bit closer to the screen shows a little bit different, the colors. So better to look at your printed copy. Those colors are a little more close to what you would actually see. So the second option in the color and the palette for the logo and branding is also shown here. The color palette is a dark blue, a teal, light teal, and orange. In this version, the word ride is not italicized, and the plus symbol varies from the initial option. And again, we have a depiction of a screenshot that riders would see on their phone and a visual of what the wrap on the vehicle would look like. Oh, sorry. I forgot to do that part of it. Oops, sorry. Sorry, technical. Oh my goodness. Here's the second. And then the third option just shows you the logos together, because this is primarily what would be seen. So that just shows you the logos together. And just to give you a little bit of an updated timeline as to where we are, we're looking at the soft launch of the system happening with this timeline of you approving the logo tonight. We would look at the soft launch of the system happening August 15th through 19th, and then the full launch of the system, which would be for our RideSG Plus current passengers, would be around August 22nd. And then beyond that, we'll be marketing the RideSG system, and still to be determined when we would be unveiling the whole system for the general passenger. So with that, we would look for a direction from the City Council.
Okay. Does any council member have the factual question for staff to clarify the report?
I do.
Okay. Councilmember
Rebecca, which one do you prefer?
I'll hold my judgment. I'll tell you, I was very excited. We saw the first one initially, and I was very excited with that. And then I saw the second one, and I do like this. I'm fine with either of them. If we're looking at the italicized, I prefer the italicized version, because I think that does have a little bit more to it. So.
I'm just wondering, because the first one is a little softer, the second one's a little darker, but I wasn't sure, you know, on your side, since you'd be doing all the promotion, and if that would make a difference in any way. No?
Truly, I'm fine with either.
Okay. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, myself, it's a RideSG, regular is for the senior. The plus is for all the people resident to
the RideSG will be for the general public. The RideSG Plus will be for the seniors and the disabled.
Okay. Okay.
That's what we're proposing.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Rivera.
Are these the actual vans that they're going to be using, or are they still using those little buses?
So right now, and what council had approved previously, we will continue using our current buses, and we believe that they have about a 3-year life left on them, and so we will continue using those. We have not approved new vans at this point, but it is a wrap that is done on the vehicles, and this is what could be done in the future.
So it's not something that's going to be done to the current buses?
We've not had any feedback yet on what that cost would be to wrap the current vehicles, and whether or not we would be able to do that, or whether we'd be looking at a more basic application of the logo at this point. We do intend to update at least the logo, since we will have this new service. And I think it'd be misleading to continue using our same buses as they currently are.
Yeah.
But at this point, we are not getting new vehicles.
No, or wraps?
Again, we haven't had any costs. We haven't determined what that cost would be, and or what the feasibility of that would be, and whether or not that would be advisable to do if we only have 3 years left on the vehicles. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, it's the Vice Mayor Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor. So Rebecca, when you say the color palette, are we choosing one of the 4 colors or all 4?
You would be choosing essentially one of those sheets, if you will. So you're choosing all 4, and they could be used, I don't want to say interchangeably, but they could be used. So you're essentially choosing the palette. So you're either choosing the one with the red, which is the first sheet, with the darker green, with the reds, or you're choosing the blue and the teal and the orange. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I was just confused why we would have 4 colors. I mean, the van would be, or the app would just randomly choose a color, or what's going on there? Like on your screen?
The screens will be different. First off, so what you're seeing here is actually a tap card, which at this point we're not looking to employ tap with these rides, but that could be something that would be done in the future, where someone who uses the transit system for Metro would come and then also be able to use their tap card on our service. So there's going to be a lot of different uses for that, and in fact the app itself has a lot of different, if you think of a screen on your phone and you're going through a different app, there's a lot of different uses for that, and so there's options where we could employ those different colors. Okay. So as opposed to just having a single color.
Okay. Because sometimes I just thought it was confusing, like different colors, different times. It kind of confused people, but
okay.
I prefer one color. But
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chief City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
I have no speaker cards. Is there anyone wishing to address council? I want to say something. Debbie Kilgore.
That's boring. You can't even tell that's the mission. It's not well defined. All it looks like is a squiggly line, and looking at the van drawing, it doesn't show anything. And so if nobody's going to know that's the mission. And I mean, is that the only choice that we have? How about having something where the city could get together, people could donate a drawing and say, hey, we're doing this. Why don't you guys, let's see what our residents might want to do, a nice design, because unless you really understand it, you don't know what that design is. It doesn't have a bus on it, doesn't have anything, and nobody's going to know what RideSG is. So that design should be more defined, better looking, I think. And something that you guys you have a celebration coming up in a couple weeks. Why not do a display and say, hey, we've got this going, we want some input, what do you like, instead of you 5 people making that choice? Why not the residents that are going to be part of this using it? Why don't you give them a choice of having more choices? But if that's all we've got, I don't like it. I'm not impressed by it. It looks like a squiggle line with a little hole at the very top. You cannot tell that's the mission looking at it. That's my input.
Any other?
The only thing I would have in response to that is that's our job, is to make sure that people understand what RideSG is. It would be misleading to have our system continue to be called Dial-A-Ride at this point, because it's going to be different than that. And so that was the decision that council made, and that was what we recommended was RideSG. So that's our job, is to make sure that the public knows and to market the system and market the program.
I'm not saying the RideSG, I'm saying the drawing on the side. You can't tell what it is, really. It looks like a squiggly line with a little hole at the very top. You don't see a good shape of it. That's supposed to represent the mission.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, if Debbie, if you want to speak, just request the public comments to speak, because that's the meeting rule. Okay, sorry about it. You just respond quickly, but you can follow you should follow the rule to do that. Okay. All right, and so it's now time for the council deliberation and the discussion. Who would like to start it? Councilmember Rivera.
I don't mind the colors. Colors are okay, but I kind of do agree that that does not look like the mission. I mean, yeah, I just feel like the little thing here, I don't like that. That's just me though. Like it doesn't you can't tell it's the mission. It kind of looks like a briefcase or of some sort, you know, with like a little line in the middle. I wonder if we can go back and kind of design that a little more, just like details, maybe a little more detail into it, so you could tell that it's the mission. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion, though. I don't know.
And thank you. Next. Who?
John.
John.
Thank you, Mayor.
Who?
So I just want to clarify one thing, that whatever the color we choose, that the screen of the app will be the same or it would not. For example, if the blue will be the choice, will be the color that we have chosen or approved. So what about the apps? If the app's screen will be the same color as the vehicle?
So basically, by there being multiple colors, it provides us the opportunity to work with the RideCo team, who is helping us develop the app, to utilize those specific colors. So this is an example of what that would look like. For the second color palette, this is an example of what that would look like, but it does provide, as opposed to just having a single color, that everything's going to be a single color, this provides an opportunity for there to be a variety of colors employed in the building of the app.
So from the date of the June 7th that we start to initiate the whole things, when we are talking about the agreement with the company, it's 2 years, right? So is it from the date they start the service, or it's the clock is already clicking? I mean, is it the time that we are discussing, then we are actually running out of our time on the agreement with that company? So I mean, because this is 2-year services. So how?
So the contract is for 3 years.
Oh, for 3 years. Okay, sorry.
And no, that's fine. And the contract is for 3 years, and we are currently meeting with them. We have actually weekly meetings with them, with RideCo, and so they are working to develop that. Yes, the logo is something that we need to get done in order for them to be able to build the app.
Right.
Or develop the app, I'll say. They have this built for other systems, but it would be obviously customizing that for our system, for our RideSG, and then be able to employ the system. We had planned on doing it initially, and you'll remember this when we had the initial council discussion. We had planned on employing that with our dial-a-ride passengers first, before it is released to the general public. So that sequence has not changed. We do need to have a logo and be able to develop that app and finalize that app before we can employ the system.
Yeah, it seems like we will take a little bit longer than we expect, because after we have this, after we select the logo, how it looks like, then we would develop an app. Is that correct?
That is something, we won't be developing that,
We
but
won't.
RideCo will be developing that. And again, they've already developed this, they're basically customizing it for our system.
So 3 years, 36 months, they will be counted from the day they start the services as designing everything, or they will be starting from the day one the bus start on the road.
It's starting it's already starting.
Already starting.
Already starting.
I see. Okay. I have no more question. Thank you.
Councilmember Machaca.
Yes, I'm very comfortable with what the drawings are. I guess you can add a bell if you have to make it stand out as a church, but with these logos, with another organization that I'm on the board of directors for, we also struggled with this, and you know, there's definitely a difference of opinion depending on what industry you're in, and these apps that you have, my understanding is that you want it simple, you don't want it too much detail. Like I said, you can add a bell, and I guess you'll know it's a church right away. But one of my concerns too is, I think with Councilmember Wu's question, that if we delay this, then we're going to have to delay the whole project. Is that correct? Because especially this, we're not meeting until later on, the end of August. But I'm comfortable with what we have now. I think it has to be simplified for logos. I like the first one more, which is the teal orange, I guess it is. But you know, I'm open to what the council would like to do. But at this point, I like what I see.
Thank you.
I think maybe a bell is a good idea. Something just to give it the look of the mission. But I don't see a space for it. Like maybe tiny little one in the middle.
It would be a dot.
But I mean, if the point is to try to minimize it and just kind of make it more modern looking, is that what it is, or just? I like the darker blue with the orange. I just feel like it's more catchy. You know, especially when it's like driving by.
So, Mayor Dean, may I?
Okay.
Yes. Okay. I think to echo is Councilmember Rivera, I want to know the designer is actually in-house.
Correct.
So it's not the company, the shuttle companies is providing this design.
Correct.
So so the purpose of doing this because it saves the money. Is that correct? We don't have to hire the like a designer or the graphic designer or companies to pay for the design. So this is something that we can save a little. Is it the purpose why we have an in-house designer?
So the contract with RideCo, if that's what you're asking, the contract with RideCo did not include the design, right? So they will adapt the app.
Right.
And we're not required to do that in-house, and they are working with us. They're part of these weekly meetings that we're having. But yes, we do have staff in-house who was able to do that, and so we did not need to contract that out, which of course saves costs. We have a staff person who basically we were just paying staff hours. That's Joe Farrell. He's here in the audience tonight. So he's one of our staff at the Mission Playhouse, and so we were able to save some money by not farming that out, as well as time, because sometimes when you ask for an outside design company, first off you have to figure out who you're going to work with on that, and then it's a matter of going back and forth with design questions and that sort of thing.
I see. Yeah, I remember at the June meeting that I did mention about this will be a very good tool to promote the image of the city. So I even have mentioned that maybe that if we are not selling our car scheme for any advertisement income, then we should really put something can be really symbolic, looks to the public. So when people see that, oh my God, this is from St. Gabriel, and that is the services. And we are having 3 major hotels, that 5-star hotels, and we will generate more tourist income. So that's why I think this is as a transportation tools, and this is important to show that on the street that this is a St. Gabriel buses. And so I personally think this is the design is not bad, but it looks like a airport shuttle a little. So that's why I'm thinking about how we can reflect or some of the comments that that we can tell the designer. Maybe we should have that more ideas or more creative or more the tourism orientated thought on the logo design. I mean, this is not a bad design, I totally agree, but if we would like to make this city as like a more tourist orientated city, then we probably need to think that way, and we can just make something impress people. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Councilmember Wu. Yeah. Okay.
Can we ask the designer a question?
Sure. Jerry, you want to talk?
Hi.
Good evening, Council. Hello, everybody. So to give a little bit more of a specific background on this, aside from what Becca was talking about, so what's important to know right now with this step of the process, this is just the branding and identity guide. So this will just be the main logo and the main color scheme of the app and the functionality of the initial vans. As far as the design of the van itself or any kind of artwork or anything like that, that is still very much open for interpretation. So if you've seen what Metro does with a lot of their projects every year, they have artists come and donate artwork to their tap cards, to their vehicle wraps, to their bus wraps. So that's something similar that we could do. So initially, to just see what you see right now, it is a very modernized version of the current Dial-A-Ride logo. It is a very big departure, I believe, from the current Dial-A-Ride program, since this will be more of like a Metro Micro type of program. So with that modernized approach to it, it's a very modernized logo along with that Metro kind of feel and mentality to it. So it'll kind of introduce a different type of audience to the program as well. But what you see there is initially, as I mentioned, it's just a branding guide. So that'll just be incorporated with the color scheme of the app itself. The app is already developed by RideCo. We don't really play a part in that. They just kind of change the colors and change the logos up to apply to our city and apply to our program. And as far as the vehicle wraps and the van wraps, those are still very much open for interpretation. That is just an interpretation of taking an element of the logo and applying it to an initial van wrap during maybe like a first launch type of program.
That's if we would have the vans already, but we don't have the vans yet.
No, so currently what we were discussing doing was just very similar to what the current Dial-A-Ride vans are, which is just a vinyl logo of what you'll see now with the updated language of the RideSG and RideSG Plus programs. But in the future, if we were to get new vans and update the complete look of the program, those are possibilities for it.
Well, being in business, you know that branding is very important. And people identify with branding. You know, I know that. It's so, you know, if somebody looks at it, they won't per se necessarily say, oh, there goes the mission. There's the mission, you know? So can we?
Yes.
You look at the old logo, it's got like a little bit more of a detail. If that can be kind of like the background with the little highway in the middle, that's fine. Just like a little more detail.
Yeah,
so it could be identified as the mission.
Yep. So as Councilmember Menchaca was mentioning, a lot of this new functionality of this program is going to be on very small advertising type of levels. So on a phone screen or anything, you're looking at about maybe a quarter of an inch of a logo or a very small detail type of work. So getting too far into design elements as far as artistic value kind of to it, you'll start to really lose a lot of that detail once it starts to make it to a lot of the functionality of it. So with the phone screen, you're looking at, it's actually even larger on there than it will probably actually be. You're probably looking at not even half an inch to what's going to be on their actual app. And there's also even smaller sections of the phone app that'll shrink it down even more. And there's also areas where it doesn't have any color at all because it'll be like loading screens and things. So yeah, like I said, I think we are in a bit of a time crunch. So think that's what we're.
I was going to mention it. That's exactly my other organization. They mentioned the same thing because it's so small. You know, that level of detail just doesn't make sense. But to council member who's, you know, concerned about the van. So the van's a separate issue. That's just an example. We can do whatever we want with the van when we finally do have that capability. When we buy new ones, we can make it much more attractive for the tourist. But for now, we're just looking really for the app, and that's it.
Yeah, so that van exactly is just a sample element of what it could be when the time comes to start doing things like that. I've taken just from the basics of what we're doing right now, but really the possibilities are endless when it comes to that, as well as advertising if there's stations on the street or anything like that of signage and doing things very much like Metro does, which you kind of have endless possibilities of artwork. And
so, Council Member, Vice Mayor Harrington.
Right.
Thank you, Mayor. So Rebecca, I had a question. So if they have the app built already, they're just really looking for color scheme and a logo that they're putting into it. Is that correct, or?
They have the app developed and they need to customize it, yes, for our system.
Okay, and that has to be done before the rollout date, obviously.
It does, in that we, even with our RideSG Plus passengers, we will be working with them to be able to employ the app, because some of our seniors and disabled will have a phone and will be able to utilize the app, and they will be able to track their ride on their phone, that sort of thing, so they can see where the bus is and what time they're coming.
Gotcha. So I mean, I guess for me, I understand that this is really just a very modern, just minimalistic. Just this represents, you know, on a small screen, the city.
Right.
And then later on, if we want to do something big and catchy, we could put wraps or whatever else on the van, custom.
Right. So as Joe mentioned, and as I mentioned, at this point, we don't have new vans. We expect that the life expectancy of our vans is about 3 years, so we will not be getting new vans until that point. And looking at what possibilities there would be with the wrap. As he mentioned, this is just an example of what could be done.
But also the fact that they can just drop in any logo and drop in any color scheme, I don't think it's too difficult if we changed it in the future to drop in a new logo and an updated logo and an updated color scheme if we wanted to. Because I mean, I've seen a lot of app development, and it's really just dropping in a logo. Everything else, nothing else changes, because it's the way they build these apps. That's all you're really doing.
We've not had that discussion with them. I'm not sure what that would look like. Or I am sure there would be some costs associated with that. But I think the other important thing that we need to look at is, if not that our logo right now is outstanding by any means, but we have had it in place for a long time, and there is something to be said for maintaining a brand once you've established that as well. And so I think really our role is to be able to build that and maintain that. And obviously it's going to have much more of a presence now than it has currently, where it's just currently on the bus. There will be, you know, our hope is that residents will have this readily available on their phone and will use it on a regular basis. So I think we would want to be careful about just changing something out in a couple of years because we aren't quite sure that this is the right design, if that makes sense.
It kind of does, but I mean, people that are using this app are a very narrow group, and if the logo changed on their app, I don't think it would bother them. Because I would imagine people using this, I mean, their rides have to start or end in San Gabriel, and they almost have to know about it ahead of time anyway, but they're not searching the internet for San Gabriel, you know.
Right, and
rides.
I'm no marketing professional, so I wouldn't be able to determine that, but I would want someone that's much more of an expert than me in determining that, whether or not we would want to
I
change
think
it.
my point is that it's just the logo's not what's getting people to this service.
Exactly.
To me.
And again, that is our job, is to be able to promote the system and promote the program and really get the word out there.
It's the marketing.
It's the marketing of it. So.
I mean, it's not someone sees the logo and says, gee, I'm going to go take a ride in San Gabriel for some random reason.
Right.
We just have to let them know that we offer this service. That's a marketing, that's not a logo thing.
And to Councilmember Wu's comment about the rides being used and promoting that with the public, I think that will be a part of it, is the people that are utilizing our hotels and utilizing our coming to our community to enjoy their time here. But I think for the average resident, that's not going to be necessarily their primary use. That's for the guests that are coming in here to San Gabriel. So again, our job will be to promote that and to promote the program so that people are aware what RideSG is.
Yeah, because I think I foresee this, like if there's a flyer in the hotel, or it's in the hotel, you know, there are video monitors or local restaurants, you know, it says, hey, we have this service available. You know, if you need a ride home within 5 miles, here you go.
All right.
I mean, that's how I foresee this, and I don't think the logo is influencing someone either way, whether it's the best logo ever or the worst logo ever. I'm not saying this is the worst. I'm just saying that's not what's influencing these people to take a ride. It's the fact that the service exists and they know about it.
And that was one of the decisions that the council made, was to make it where they wouldn't have to be a resident to use the service. So that's allowing someone who comes to stay at the hotel to actually use the service as well within the city.
Yep, it's another service we can
That was
provide.
another decision.
Okay. I will just say then, from my opinion, I liked I like to stick with our current color scheme, which is the maroon color there. I know it's all 4, but I mean, stick with what we have, and we've been using that for a while. And I think we've brand identified that color in the first place.
So you're looking at that first
one, yeah.
option. Okay.
I just don't get all 4 colors. I'm stuck on that.
Okay.
Keep it fresh. We're keeping it fresh.
Yes, because if you're branding 4 colors.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, first of all, thanks the Rebecca, your department, do the spend. What's his name? I forgot.
Joe.
And to put your effort to have some logo design. I think it's also timeline. It's very important. Okay. Maybe I think maybe have a lot of option, like even the community member also think about maybe logo we can put on, like the public let even kids have some drawing to we then or let the community service the commissioner to approve, then the council member approve. But I think that take a while and it costs money too, and a lot of legal issue if just in case we use their logo. So how can we pay them the patent fee? A lot of issue I think we need to discuss. But it's a good idea. The community, the involvement, it's a good idea. But I think maybe currently it's time matter. I think maybe we use the simple one to. Way important. It's just move our service. Actually, recently because I think we already launched on the week called launch will be end of the July. A lot of the resident or like people I approach them, they say, oh, that's good. That's really good service. Your city do the good job because maybe it'll help them. Some from the like if I'm living in Las Tunas, if it's cost cheaper. Also, it's help the air pollution for the traffic, right? It's come to the Valley Brewer. And then you can go back to, I don't need a driving to. Okay, maybe for the future, maybe I can come to this service from my home or my work to our city hall to have the meeting too, right? Okay, so the people is really exciting. So I think maybe for the reality, maybe we can make a decision right now to we should be to movement for this kind of service to the people. But for the future, it's really like a community interesting. Have like a program to get a more better logo. Yeah, that's fine. But another option, I don't know it's good or not. Maybe the logo too big. Okay, just use the San Gabriel current the logo, and the button right now called the San Gabriel Die Ride. If we remove the Die Ride, just put a RideSG. Rest of it the same. I don't know if it's good or not. That's another option. Okay. And why I think about it, because I think the truck right now, it's already have painting this logo, right? The original logo, current logo.
It has a vinyl logo.
Vinyl logo.
Yeah.
If we maybe change the word, it's more. We can decide what kind of color or for the current logo, and then replace this wording San Gabriel Die, right? I don't know. This is a suggestion. Okay. Another option.
Again, our hope with this was to modernize and be able to create a new look and feel with this.
Okay.
It's a new program.
It's
Okay.
a new program. It is a
All
different
right.
program, and even though it won't be fully employed at this time, it will be employed for our RideSG Plus members, and so we're
Okay.
looking to rebrand with that.
I know because if you use a cell phone, this one it's more simple.
Right.
If it's too big, this logo is too big. It's hard to.
Yeah, that one's too complicated and
Yeah.
detailed.
Yeah.
And especially the
Yeah.
younger
Yeah.
generation.
I know.
They want everything simple, at least the apps, the logos.
Right.
And so which one do you like the most, Mayor?
Yeah. Like I want a consistent for our city color. I like a more. our
Okay,
city.
so that would be
So
I
it's
think
the
that-
one that the Vice
fir-
Mayor and
first
I
one
picked.
A or B, right?
A or B.
A or B.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll simplify.
So that's 3 for the, I'll just say burgundy one,
Yeah.
the slanted one.
Yeah. This one.
That one, yeah.
Okay. So it's only one color, right? We not like
No,
this.
you either
yeah.
choose page A or page B.
So I know it's
I
not a
don't have
huge
page A
difference,
and a
but if
page-
the council really preferred
Okay.
the italicized option on the color scheme of B, we could do that. That wouldn't be too much to ask. So if you
Okay.
prefer the italicized version, but you prefer color scheme B, we can do that. If you prefer non-italicized on color scheme A, we can do that. It's not a huge difference.
Yeah, but look, the color B is more bright, more stand out.
And
Right.
again, looking at your printed copy is probably the best, because looking at on the screen is not going to be ideal.
Well, maybe just make it simple and say burgundy or not burgundy.
There you go.
That might be the easier. So there's 3 of us that like the burgundy.
So burgundy, we'll call it burgundy or orange. There's 2 different versions there.
Okay.
So there's 3 of us that like burgundy. Councilmember Wu, you haven't said anything yet.
You mean about the color? I think burgundy is okay to me, yeah.
Okay.
So who make a motion? You want me to make a motion?
I
Or-
can-
Do we need a motion? Or I guess so. Go ahead,
I was going
Vice
to move
Mayor.
that we approve staff's design for option A with the burgundy.
Motion A.
Okay,
burgundy.
I'll second.
Okay. Please vote.
Thank
Mo-
you.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Okay. Oh, should I repeat it? The motion made by the Vice Mayor Harrington, second by the Council Member Menchaca. Okay.
Yeah, motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Okay. Good. So hopefully we have we expecting this new service for our city. And next item, please. Excuse me.
City Clerk Department update.
Oh, okay.
Chief City Clerk Clark will make the presentation.
Sorry about that. And we need a quick health break, 5 minutes. We continue the next item, C, City Clerk Department update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Tonight I'm pleased to present to you the first City Clerk Department update. The City Clerk Department is a dynamic information and service center within the municipal government whose services impact clientele, including the general public, media, and other governmental entities, and upon which the City Council, all city departments, and the general public rely for information regarding the operations and legislative history of the city. The City Clerk Department serves as the liaison between the public and City Council, provides related municipal services, and promotes open government and the democratic process by preserving and maximizing public access to city records. The position of City Clerk has history going back thousands of years. A biblical reference in Acts 19 details that in the city of Ephesus, in the midst of civil unrest, the city clerk quieted the crowd, detailed the proper legal procedure to follow, and concluded, if there is anything further you want to bring up, it must be settled in a legal assembly. Does that remind you of the Brown Act? For our purposes, the position of City Clerk is established pursuant to Government Code Section 36501. San Gabriel has an elected city clerk who signs minutes, ordinances, and resolutions, administers certain oaths of office, and serves as a liaison between the electorate and city government, and a chief city clerk who is the department director and responsible for all operations of the department. The position of chief city clerk and the city clerk department were established in San Gabriel in 2016. Our structure is a chief city clerk, assistant city clerk, a management assistant, and an administrative assistant too. Current staff is highly trained, with the chief and assistant city clerks possessing master municipal clerk certification, the management assistant possessing certified municipal clerk certification. In addition, all three are certified as California professional municipal clerks through UC Riverside, and all are notaries. We are currently in the recruitment process for an administrative assistant too, having alas lost ours to the city manager's office, but our loss is his gain, and all for the good of the organization. Responsibilities of the department are set pursuant to the Government Code, San Gabriel Municipal Code, and classification specifications. They include keeping an accurate record of the proceedings of the legislative body, contract and records management, public records requests, Fair Political Practices Commission filing officer, elections official, commission and advisory board appointment process and administration, and oath of office for elected and appointed officials and employees. Duties are largely statutory with associated deadlines. So broadly, the department is responsible for the city's compliance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, which governs open meeting laws and noticing requirements, the Political Reform Act, which governs campaign and conflict of interest disclosure, the Public Records Act, which ensures public access to disclosable records, the MADI Act, which provides information on advisory bodies, duties required of members, and the names and terms of those who serve, and other legal requirements which will be detailed further in the presentation. An 8-year city employee once said to me about the city clerk department, "I thought you just filed stuff." So tonight we have the opportunity to share with you and the public what it is we do. While statistics can be dry, they do help paint the picture of service to the community. Brown Act legislative history and City Council support. For most statistics in this presentation, we have provided both calendar and fiscal year numbers. You'll note a variation due mostly to the reopening of City Hall and public meetings which occurred in the fiscal year. For the fiscal year 2021 to 22, the department produced 48 City Council agendas and packets, 175 agenda translations, 63 sets of meeting minutes, 27 staff reports, 73 resolutions and ordinances that were processed and codified, 17 proclamations, and 536 certificates of recognition were provided. Some major accomplishments in this category over the last several years include video streaming of city meetings, which was done in conjunction with the city manager's office. We started with city council meetings and have expanded to all commissions. implementation of the agenda translations for City Council and HERE Commission meetings, and City Council meetings back through 2012 have been made available on the City website. Political Reform Act. Conflict of interest statements must be filed upon assuming and leaving office and annually. Campaign finance filings, increase in election periods, and ethics training certification must be renewed every 2 years. So these statistics vary a little bit from year to year depending on which training cycle people are on. We also provide Brown Act and ethics training in concert with the City Attorney's Office. And the city's conflict of interest code must be updated every 2 years. We'll be bringing that update to you in the fall. A major accomplishment in this area was the implementation of an e-filing system for conflict of interest filings. Public Records Act. The number of Public Records Act requests is increasing and takes a significant portion of staff time. Requests in calendar year 2021 were 80% higher than 2017. If the trend holds based on the number of requests received in the first half of 2022, this may be a record-setting year. Requests range from a request for a single document to complex requests for a myriad of types of documents spanning multiple departments over a range of many years. Documents for each request must be assessed before production to ensure that non-disclosable documents are not released. So you can see for this last fiscal year, 489 requests were serviced. The MADI Act requires posting of all commission or advisory board positions, responsibilities, the names of persons serving, and their terms of office. Aside from keeping the local appointments list updated, notices of scheduled and unscheduled vacancies must be posted, applications solicited, received applications vetted to ensure applicants meet specific requirements of the commissions applied for, interviews scheduled for a city council meeting, and once appointments are made, commissioners are contacted for conflict of interest filings and ethics training. Major accomplishments is now that all meetings are broadcast on YouTube and cable TV channel 3. And then also, during the COVID-19 emergency, when all commission meetings were held virtually, city clerk staff attended every commission meeting to provide technical support. I'm very proud of the level of dedication of my staff, with some attending as many as 4 evening meetings in 1 week. So during that time period, we provided technical support for 44 commission meetings. Some of those were because 2 staff members attended. Records management. One of the challenges for every city is the management of paper records. Until the government code and other codes catch up with modern technology, records management requires significant planning, staff time, and physical space to store permanent and confidential records and obsolete records awaiting destruction according to the city's retention schedule. Another challenge has been staff turnover that sometimes results in the persons most knowledgeable about what records are stored where leaving the city. We're also playing catch up for years of insufficient records management. For fiscal year 2021-2022, some of the work accomplished in this area includes 45 agreements and contracts processed, 706 documents scanned and indexed, 60 banker boxes of records inventoried in detail, 106 banker boxes of obsolete records destroyed, and 9 trainings provided to other departments. In order to move the city into best practices, the following has been accomplished in the last 4 years. A contract expiration tracking log has been implemented. This is an important control mechanism which the city's auditors look for. The first citywide records retention schedule was adopted, along with annual records retention schedule updates to incorporate new legislation. A citywide records inventory was completed, controlled access record storage established, and a comprehensive records management system software initiated for tracking and indexing paper records. The city's emergency operations plan has been digitized, and all annexation files have been reviewed, organized, and indexed. Some of our projects in progress include an expansion of the paper records management system, Sorry about that. Greater utilization of existing Laserfish electronic document management system along with training citywide for record staff. An expansion of the record center for more efficient and controlled storage. And implementation of trusted record electronic document storage that meets government code standards in order to reduce the quantity of paper records. Elections. It is a common misconception that the county handles all the election details. The county prints and mails ballots and ballot information, counts ballots, recruits and trains vote center workers, and obtains vote center locations, and handles noticing of vote and tally center locations. The chief city clerk, as the local elections official, handles these election aspects in-house. Resolutions calling the election, requesting consolidation, and setting regulations for candidate statements. In years when there are ballot measures, there are also resolutions putting the measures on the ballot and administration of arguments for and against and rebuttals. Informational meetings with potential and declared candidates. Preparation of all election-associated forms, nomination papers, and candidate handbook. Issuance of nomination papers, verification of signatures, and qualification of candidates. Issuance of candidate designation, transliteration, candidate statement, FPPC, and other required forms. As you can tell, we deal with a lot of forms. Okay. Once the forms come in, we have to verify that they meet the legal requirements. Serve as the filing officer for all campaign finance statements. We handle publication of the legal notices, some of the legal notices associated with the election. The transmittal of approved forms to the county and the verification of accuracy before the county publishes them. So they send us back for proofing. We have to make sure everything's right. And then finally, the resolution declaring the results of the election, preparation of certificates of election, administration of the oath of office, and city council reorganization. In addition, the city clerk department coordinates with the county election department to provide voter education for our community. At our invitation, the county will have a voter information booth at our National Night Out event with multilingual staff and materials. We've also arranged for a speaker from the county election department to present at the August 23rd HEAR Commission meeting on opportunities to volunteer for the November general election. Some of our other legal duties for fiscal year 2021 to 22. 60 legal notices published and posted, 39 oaths of office administered, 41 notarizations performed for city business, 11 bids and requests for proposals were posted, 5 bid openings were handled, and we also received service of process for the city. For the fiscal year, we received and processed 49 claims, subpoenas, summons, and other legal documents. Some of the major accomplishments in this area: implementation of e-recordation. Previously, staff had to mail documents for recordation, which took weeks to receive back, or drive to county clerk headquarters in Norwalk and stand in line for recordation. Though some property documents still have to physically arrive in Norwalk, many other documents can now be e-recorded by city clerk staff, which greatly expedites recordation and is a much more efficient use of staff time. All this at no cost to the city as a governmental entity. Then implementation of combined public hearing notices is saving the city thousands a year in publication costs. Customer service is a primary goal of the department. We provide front counter and phone reception and translation services. For fiscal year 2021 to 2022, translation service was provided 795 times. Members of the department have also received annual employee awards for customer services 3 years in a row. Internal support for other departments includes research, review of staff reports, and trainings on commission administration, records management, writing staff reports, and electronic document management systems. The City Clerk Department uniquely interacts with every internal department, elected and appointed officials, other governmental and private entities, and the public. We are excited to continue the improvements being made to maximize our effectiveness and better meet the needs of those we serve. That concludes the presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Sharon. Does any council member have a factual question for staff to clarify the report? None?
Hi. Just for the public, so what's the difference between the chief city clerk and the elected city clerk?
The elected city clerk has certain ceremonial duties. She performs certain oaths of office. She signs the resolutions, the ordinances, and the minutes, and also serves as a liaison between the community and city council. The chief city clerk is the department director and handles all operations of the department.
Thank you.
Okay, so.
Well, thank you very much, Sharon. Thank you, Mayor Dean. Well, it's a great report and very impressive that for city clerk that has so many duties and accomplishment. So actually, how many employees is under this department?
The department has 4 full-time staff.
Only 4?
If we're fully staffed.
Okay, fully staffed.
Yes.
So we are still 1 short now.
We are. We're in the recruitment process right now. The recruitment has closed, and we're moving into the next stage.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Chief City Clerk, we have any public comments? That's you?
We have no speaker cards. Is there anyone wishing to address council?
Okay.
No, Mayor.
Okay. It's now time for the council deliberation and the discussion. Who will be started? Like to start it? Okay. Yeah. Just want to see the I for my the council member Rivera, she asking maybe for example the chief city clerk relate to the elected city clerk like council member with our city manager, something like that. Is it right? Or yeah.
The chief city, the elected city clerk mainly has ceremonial functions.
Okay.
But she does also sign some of the city documents.
Okay. Okay.
But she does not manage any employees or.
Okay.
Our chief city clerk doesn't report to the elected city clerk. She reports to the city manager, who reports to the council. So it's a separate entity.
Okay. So next. So yeah, but just maybe because the city clerk is talking about the election. Okay, so I just want to let public know. So what's the November election? How many positions we for the November election? Yeah.
We have 3 city council seats, city clerk and city treasurer. On the city's website, under the city clerk page for the November election center, we have an updated list of who has pulled papers that will be kept updated with who's filed, when they're qualified. So if anybody wants to keep track of that, it also has contact information for the candidates.
Okay. So what's the application started and what's the deadline?
The nomination period began Monday.
Yesterday.
And it ends either August 12th, excuse me, or August 17th. If an incumbent does not file by the 12th deadline, then that deadline would be extended to August 17th.
Okay. So can I ask these 2 days have any update?
We've had 6 people pull papers for city council, 2 for city clerk, and 1 for city treasurer.
Okay.
So far.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Shannon. So next item.
Public comment. Is there anyone wishing to address the council? Mayor.
No. City manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing tonight.
And okay, then council comments and the conference meeting report. Okay,
Thank you,
Councilmember Menchaca.
thank you, Mayor. I wanted just to bring to everyone's attention that tonight's on the voucher list, pages 9 through 13, there was quite a few grants that were given out, business grants, 50 of them at $2,500 each. And I just wanted to give Aldo Cervantes, our director, an opportunity just to talk a little bit about it and what's going to be brought forward to the council in the future.
Yes, thank you, Council. So we issued 58 checks to 58 qualifying applications, small business grants in the amount of $2,500. We're in the process of getting feedback from those businesses. That way we can accumulate that feedback and come back to the council as well as to the public to show how the program functioned. Obviously in hopes of maybe building momentum for another program. But the goal here is to highlight the program success and to build on that success into the next program. And so in the near future, as soon as we've collected all the feedback from the businesses, the 58 businesses, we'll approach the council and provide an update as to how the program worked. But we did receive a lot of interest early on, a lot of thank yous for the program, a few thank yous so far on the money that we've issued out. And so it is great to hear that some of the businesses have used the funds to just sort of help their business grow or to just maintain operations. So,
thank you, Aldo. And if anyone wants to go through the voucher list again, 9 through 13, there's many businesses there that are very familiar to us, and so it's really nice to see that we've been able to do something, and hopefully we can do more in the future. So, and then my last comment was. Last Thursday, Parks and Rec, or I'm sorry, not Parks and Rec, that dated me, I'm sorry, Community Services Department, again, just outdid themselves, that's all I have to say. There was 4 of us there, and it was such a wonderful evening. They had Wacko, the magician, they had Imagination, kids' imagination just really entertained the kids. It was really nice because the front was roped off just for the youngsters, so the older folks couldn't be there. But it was just so nice to see the kids so engaged. And then at the end there was a movie. It was a pop-up screen. But we had so many parents come up to council just thanking us and telling us that it really makes a difference. You know, the opportunity to attend a free event locally, they can just walk there, and they just felt so safe. So thanks to our officers too. There was officers there, about 3 of them. Their presence always make a difference, and it was just such a pleasant evening. And I just want to thank your team. And well, you were there too, Rebecca. I remember at the end we saw you. Just a really beautiful evening, and very proud, as always, that San Gabriel can do something like that for our families. And that was all for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Rivera.
Just to go over what Denise said, we were at the we have attended all of the Thursday summer events that they've all been great. Community service has done a great job. Everything from the free popcorn that they hand out to all the activities for the kids that they have there. But this past Thursday was a little different. It was really great. Like, the parents were just super happy, super involved. I know she said that we had, Denise said we had a kids area, but I was there. I was standing there with the kids with my little thing. I was having so much fun. It was really fun. So thank you, Rebecca and your team, for everything you guys do. Families do appreciate this, especially in the summertime, and especially coming out of a pandemic where families can actually come back and get together. I also had a chance to visit this Sunday morning, early morning. I was invited by the vice mayor of Alhambra to visit their farmers market. So I'm hoping that sometime in the future we can put that to council and put it in our agenda, trying to get some more information so that we can perhaps bring one of those to our city too, because it does attract a lot of people. I stopped and talked to a lot of the residents there in Alhambra and a lot of the farmers that were bringing their products to their families, and how I was really impressed with Alhambra, the way the farmers market stayed open even during the pandemic, because they were bringing food to the families. So I'm hoping that sometime in the near future we can actually put together something like that for our city also. We definitely have the space. We just have to kind of brainstorm and bring it together.
Okay. Councilman Wu?
I have nothing to comment and report, but thank you very much for everything that our community service department has done for the great event, and we have another event coming up this coming Thursday. So I hope that we will generate more our residents to join our event, and you know, this is something that we feel so proud of. Thank you.
Yeah, it's for myself also really thanks the community service department, police department. They go out to keep our safety, you know. Yeah, so make our community happy. And last, I say, couple event on the Thursday, I have a chance to attend it, and actually it's impressive. For the last time, the Thursday, they say for the kids night, but I talked to the magician and the performers, say, hey, not just for the little kids, it's for my older kids. I like it. I must feel like it's a really good fun for the community. You know, it's really, yeah, if the fresh air, right, and the good weather and the good performance and the nice movie. Yeah, thanks to Rebecca, your department do the wonderful job, and the community service, the staff, they working hard. You know, they make kids happen. I think, yeah, I think our San Gabriel is a historical city, and also the city of Mission. We should be like, yeah, have this kind of event continue. Like, I agree, the council member Rivera, if we expecting future, we have the farmers market too. You know, at least we have the blossom market in our city, right? Okay, yeah, but it's still called a market, right? But yeah, not good enough. So yeah, yeah, I wish, but also the community service will have more job, and our police department have more job to help us. Okay, it's a really good, like, also this month it's we just proclamation for the park, make life for the better. Yeah, it's really, yeah, it's true. And yeah, I think I have to stop it here. Otherwise, okay. Close the section, no, right? And meeting adjourned. Tonight meeting it's adjourned in memory of the Esther Wu Jian. Council member Wu has a few comments.
Yeah, the reason that we are we will be adjourning the meeting in memory of Esther Wu Jian. Maiden Esther Wu Jian is, she is the we call the godmother of Chinatown, Los Angeles, and she has been helping a lot in those you know, the people's in need in her town, and she is also serving as the community leaders that in many associations, and you know, she has been doing tremendous jobs and in charity. So she is also with the name of like a charity, you know, like a mother in that area. Last week Mayor Dean and I went to her, funeral, and there were like more than 300 people attended that ceremony to celebrate her lives. So she's someone so special, and she's a role model for many, we call the Asian elders, that they are contributing their efforts beside their family. They are doing a lot for their society. So that is something is we really want to bring it out to our community, that she is one of the very best person that representing the API, and we miss her. And thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wu. Yeah, it's echo the Councilmember Wu. The Esther, it's really do the wonderful job for our community, and even I know she actually it's 90 years old. Even like half years ago, almost 89 years old, I go to the China Community Service. She still serve the people to each table, so to help the people. So yeah, it's that kind of old. It's really impressed for her life. It's celebration for her life. It's given to us confidence and encouragement for our community service. Yes. Okay. The City Council regular meeting of the August 2nd, 2022 has been canceled due to the National Night Out. Still need coming out. Okay, everybody to celebrate night out. We hope you have attended the City Night Out, the event from 5 to 9 p.m. in the Mission District. The next regular City Council meeting will be held on Tuesday, August 16, 2022 at 6:30. Meeting adjourned at 8:49 p.m. in the memory of the Esther Wu Jian. Thank you.